What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, happy Wednesday, everybody. This is a very rainy Wednesday in Chicago. I don't know about what the weather looks like where you are, but hopefully y'all are having a fan-freaking-tastic day. Welcome to Quita in the Mornings, because my name is Quita. We are in the mornings, and we about to have a good time talking about some women's hoops. We got about 20 to 30 minutes ahead of us to talk about some stuff, because the theme of today's day is loyalty is dead. Loyalty is dead. There's a lot of talk about loyalty. Loyalty in the workforce. Loyalty just in general. Loyalty in sports. And there's a lot of times where we talk about loyalty in terms of one side only. We talk about loyalty in terms of employees being loyal to their employers, which you should be. This is not me saying you shouldn't be. We talk specifically about how you should stay loyal to the company that you're at, right? And you should stay there. You should work through it and blah, 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 blah. In hard times, stay there, rock out, right? We talk about loyalty in terms of players when it comes to women's basketball and sports in general, especially in college, where it's like, don't just go to the transfer portal. Don't toughen it up, toughen it out. Stay at your program. Don't leave. Don't transfer. Whatever it is that you're going through, grit it out and toughen up, because you should show more loyalty to the program that recruited you. Right? There's a lot of talk about loyalty. And there's a lot of people who get upset at the fact that we have, at this point, over 800 players in the women's transfer portal when it comes to women's basketball. Right? At this point, actually over 1,000. It's 1,020 as of yesterday. 1,020. It was last updated on the On3 portal website was last updated yesterday at 11 p.m. So as of right now, it is 1,020 people in the transfer portal. There's people who are like, no, these it's ridiculous. All these players are in the transfer portal. They need to be more committed to their team and yada, yada, yada. But a thing to always remember is that loyalty is a two-way street. These players are not loyal because, in large part, these teams are not loyal either. And the story I want to tell today is one that was pretty infuriating to a lot of people when they saw it. And to be honest with you, I started seeing it over the last couple of days where a lot of uproar was happening. And I was like, what the heck is happening? I looked into it and I was like, yep. This is exactly why players need to look out for themselves and not necessarily be loyal to a program, regardless of even if it was their childhood program that they loved. And for this story, I want to talk about Cassidy Rowe. Cassidy Rowe is someone who you probably have never heard of. Probably haven't heard of her. Mainly because she didn't really play that much. She played for the University of Kentucky, and her and her family were notified that she, entering her senior playing season, she was informed that she no longer. I got an echo. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. Let's start all over. Sorry. Okay. What I want to talk about in this stream is how loyalty is truly a two-way street. Because in a lot of instances, places will be loyal to you as long as you are productive. And a lot of times when your productivity towards your perceived productivity goes away, so does that loyalty, and boom, you're out the door. And the story I want to talk about is about Cassidy Rowe. Now, Cassidy Rowe is probably someone that you all have never heard of, right? Probably never heard of her, but she is a junior guard who was born and raised in Kentucky. She loves Kentucky. Just recently graduated with a degree in kinesiology. Was all set to go to a PT school in January or next season or next year. But she was taking classes and whatnot. She was told by Kenny Brooks that her scholarship is over. She's a junior, heading into her senior playing season. That would be 4 years at the University of Kentucky, and she's gone. She is out the door at Kentucky, and this decision by Kenny Brooks, it pissed a lot of people off. Now I'm gonna just say that. Now this is something that, to be honest with you, I had never really heard of Cassidy Rowe. Never really heard of her, right? Mainly because she's not one of the best players on Kentucky. Mainly because she's dealt with a lot of injuries, right? This is not a player that has been healthy the whole time, right? So this is someone who has had 2 severe injuries in her past. As a freshman, she only played in about 13 games, and as a sophomore, she played in 31 games, meaning last season before this season started. She played in a bunch of games, made a couple of starts last year. She didn't average that many points, right? 2.6 points a game, one rebound a game, 17.4 minutes a game. So not that much. So this is not me saying Cassidy Rowe is not a star on Kentucky. I don't think anybody would say that Cassidy Rowe is a star on Kentucky. Now, going into college, she was a big deal. She was someone who could get you in high school about 16 points a game, right? She is a point guard. She is also a point guard who could knock down threes. She was looked at when it came to scouts looking at her and seeing about her possibly going to different programs. She was looked at and was recruited. And smaller teams were like, "Hey, you can come on to our team and you can play a lot of games with us. You can be our starting point guard. You can rock out with our team if you come here." But Cassidy Rowe grew up a Kentucky fan. She grew up a Kentucky fan, and even though she was really good at basketball, she was not necessarily that good at basketball that enabled her to go to Kentucky and start and actually have a lot of playing minutes. She was good enough to be really, really good on any other team. But she chose to go to Kentucky. And she's also someone who has had a lot of injuries, right? A lot of injuries throughout her career. And her injuries and just all the stuff that has gone on, it prevented her from being a super, super productive player on the court. Now, for Kentucky, though she still could be a very productive player for any other squad, but for Kentucky, she rode the bench, largely, right? She was someone who actually did not play a ton this year. And this decision by Kenny Brooks to remove her scholarship, in one hand, is understandable because you just look at her stats. Look at her stats, right? She's been with Kentucky for 3 years. Last year, she played the most minutes ever at 17.4. This year, she didn't play that much. She played about 10 minutes a game, but she only played in 23 games. And so, in some sense, there is logic to the decision to not extend or not continue the scholarship for Cassidy Rowe. There is some understanding to that, but then you think about who Cassidy Rowe is, right? And you think about what other schools have decided to do, right? You all may remember, if y'all are LSU fans, y'all may remember Izzy Besselman. Izzy Besselman is a player who, loved LSU, went to LSU, was not on scholarship, didn't play very much for LSU, but was ultimately injured, and was not gonna play again for the rest of the season. And in December of 2024, Kim Mulkey, knowing that Izzy Besselman could not add anything to her program in terms of on the court, but was beloved by the fan base, right? We saw Kim Mulkey make the decision to give Izzy Besselman a scholarship, because ultimately it is the coach's prerogative on what they want to do. So there is precedent for players who are not super productive on the floor, but are beloved by the fan base, beloved by the team, to extend a scholarship. And the thing was, for Izzy, I don't believe she wasn't on a scholarship when she was awarded that scholarship. And for Cassidy Rowe, she was already on scholarship. Cassidy Rowe was on scholarship for the University of Kentucky for 3 seasons already. And it was just a decision to remove that for next season, for her final season. And I wanna actually tell the story a little bit better by first showing you all what Kenny Brooks had to say about Cassidy Rowe, because Cassidy Rowe, again, is someone who really does live and breathe Kentucky. And I want to play this for y'all. So give me a second. I'm gonna play this clip of what Kenny Brooks had to say about Cassidy Rowe. Now, this was a while ago that he said this, but yeah, I'm gonna play it real quick.
And Cassidy, I tell the story a lot when I met with each and every player from last year's team. Some of them were already in the portal, and Cassidy, when she started talking about her experiences here, I swore when she started crying it was blue tears. And I'm like, man, this kid had me, she had me at hello, just because she knew how much she loved Kentucky. And we've been pulling off of those experiences, because as newcomers, I know what Kentucky is from an outsider, but I'm like, why? Why Kentucky? Everybody says this is Kentucky, and I'm asking her why. And, she stuttered and stammered a little bit, and that was enough for me. She was just everything. She cried, she talked about it, and she's been great here, and what she may lack in height or anything else, she makes up for it with her pride of Kentucky. And so she's been a big plus for us.
Yeah, so that was what Kenny Brooks had to say. Again, she was someone who bled Kentucky blue. Kenny Brooks said it, right? She loved Kentucky. Yes, she was not the tallest point guard, right? She was not someone who was necessarily built for the SEC, in my opinion. No, this is no disrespect or anything. But Cassidy Rowe would be a really good player for, a mid-major, that type of thing. But she was not necessarily someone who was going to play a lot of minutes or whatnot for Kentucky, but she was someone who loved the program, bled for the program. And Kenny Brooks realized when he first started, when he talked to Cassidy Rowe, he realized how amazing Cassidy Rowe was, and what she meant to the program, and how much she cared about the program. So that was what Kenny Brooks said back then. And then I found this interview of Cassidy Rowe where she was asked about why she decided to stay at Kentucky after the decision was made to part ways with Kyra Elzy and bring on Kenny Brooks. And I do want to play her response because I thought it was pretty important.
When you found out that Elzy was leaving and Kenny Brooks was coming in, was there anything in you that said, okay, maybe I need to leave, or did you always want to stay?
I knew that I always wanted to stay. I was more just, praying that Coach Brooks would want to keep me and that I could keep representing my state. So it's such a blessing that he's allowed me to do that.
He said something about you crying blue tears, and I think that is just like the perfect representation of you and your spirit for this school. So what would you say makes you the most proud to wear Kentucky blue?
I would say representing my family, but more than that, even just my community. Like I said, there's not a lot of people from my hometown that do things like this, that play at the next level. So I feel like I'm not only representing myself and my team, but I'm representing every little girl in Eastern Kentucky who has the same dreams. And I just would want them to know that it's not impossible. No matter how many people tell you that it is. I had so many people tell me that I was never going to make it. And so I feel like I'm just representing them as well.
So, yeah. The reason why I'm playing these clips is to kind of give you an idea of like who Cassidy was as a person. Because we know her, actual stats on the court. Again, not huge at all. However, this was someone who was like very, very much a part of the Kentucky fabric, right? And it got to the point where I started to see article after article about Cassidy Rowe and how pissed off the Kentucky fan base was, because it was one of those things where Kentucky fans knew about the, talent level of Cassidy, However, they also knew how much she connected with the fans, how much she loved the fans, how much they rocked with her. And she was a homegrown kid, which again matters a lot more than transfers. A lot of times transfers come through, right? But it's becoming less and less that we have players who grow up in the community of the school, who attend games as a kid with their parents, who ultimately go to that said school and then, rock out there. Like Cassidy Rowe, what made her so important to the fabric of Kentucky was that she was a homegrown kid. A homegrown kid who decided to stay home and play for the school she loved. Right? And it's kind of interesting. And then I ended up seeing a interview where her dad actually went on a talk show to talk about Cassidy and just talk about like what this meant and how they were kind of blindsided by the whole thing. And like here's a clip of that show just to kind of give y'all a taste of like what was going on that front. Basically, what I'm trying to show is that there's a lot of people who are like pissed about the whole thing. Like a lot of people who are pissed about the whole thing.
I mean, really bad. From a common sense, from a PR, and I don't know what the hell Kenny Brooks was thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Lonnie Rowe is kind enough to join us. His daughter Cassidy was, and you tell, first of all, thank you for joining us. And two, tell me where I'm wrong from your perception. Your daughter was kicked off the team because scholarships are for 1 year. They're renewed every year. That's been going on for a long time. You don't renew the scholarship and you're kicked off the team. Am I wrong?
You are 100% right, Alan.
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how shocked were you?
Probably about 15.
Now, let me throw a couple things out here. So, since Cassidy, and I bet she's great at it too, is going to PT school, and her whole life, all she wanted to do was play for Kentucky. You correct me anytime I'm wrong. And she committed to Kentucky in 8th grade, ripped knees twice. I remember seeing her this year, and I said it on radio that I couldn't believe that she wasn't even wearing a knee brace. The rehab that she went through had to be just exhausting and unbelievable, as it is for anyone, but not even to wear a brace. And I would watch her feet and going, oh my gosh, if I didn't know, you couldn't tell she ever had a knee injury. So her work was probably past vivacious. But if I understand this correctly, by pulling the scholarship now, and he's got 7 or 8 open scholarships, by pulling it now, your daughter going to PT school, she has to pay for it. That should have been paid for by UK. Whatever she made in NIL, I'm sure it wasn't millions, I'm being facetious, but that's also gone too. And you can't transfer because, explain why you can't transfer.
Well, you can't transfer now because the application process to get in PT school is done during the fall. That's when they do their interviews. So when Cassidy got in, it was during the fall. And now that, it's a spring semester, she just can't go and apply and try to get in because it's going to put her probably another year behind.
Did UK?
If we would have known ahead of time, it would have been different. We had no idea. And all of her plans were centered around her last year.
UK, did Kenny Brooks and his staff know that she couldn't transfer PT schools?
I'm not for sure if they did or not. Honestly, I don't think they cared.
Basically, this goes on for a while. I'm not gonna play the whole clip. It's the interview is about 20 minutes long. But I wanted to just kind of give you all a taste of like what the sights and sounds are around Cassidy Rowe not getting her scholarship renewed for this year. Now there are two perspectives to think about this. I'm gonna lay out the two perspectives, and I'm gonna let you all make up your own mind. Okay. I'm gonna let you all make up her mind, your own mind. Okay. So, one perspective is Cassidy Rowe was on scholarship for 3 years. That means she had her full tuition paid for 3 years, while not playing very much for the team. And one perspective is, hey, she should be happy that she got 3 years. Technically she graduated and was with her kinesiology degree and was getting ready to go to PT school. And yes, I understand that she loves Kentucky and whatnot, but Kenny Brooks needs players who can immediately contribute. And this is not a charity thing. This is a basketball program, and Kenny Brooks was hired to be productive. He was hired to win games. He was hired to get Kentucky to a national championship and win it. That's why he was hired. And so he cannot have players who are not effective on the SEC level. Because truly, this is one of those instances where Cassidy Rowe is a good player. Is she built for the SEC? I would say no. That's no disrespect at all. But at a mid-major, she could be successful. She absolutely could be successful at a mid-major. And, Kentucky, even with all her injuries and whatnot, Kentucky, enjoyed having her play, and they rewarded her with a scholarship for 3 years. That time is up. Kenny Brooks is trying to do something different. And ultimately, it's not Kentucky's fault that she wants to go to PT school and wanted that paid for by the school. That's one perspective. Now, I'm not going to tell y'all what perspective I think, because to be honest with you, I haven't really made up my mind yet. Well, I have kind of, but I'm not going to tell y'all specifically my perspective. So that's one perspective is, hey, suck it up, Buttercup. You had 3 years of scholarship. One perspective. Now, another perspective is about loyalty and about what it means to care for your players. Here's the deal. Cassidy Rowe is not just a random player. She is someone who grew up in Kentucky. She is someone that fans absolutely loved at Kentucky. She was someone who, after games, would sign autographs and take pictures and whatnot. And that's not to say no one else did that. Other players did as well. But there was an extra special thing with her because the players, a lot of the players at Kentucky, they didn't grow up in Kentucky, right? That's not what they are, right? She was someone who was a Kentucky kid. And that is important for fans of the Kentucky program, right? Yes, Kentucky was not very good during the time that she was there, and then they get Kenny Brooks, and all of a sudden it supercharges things. Now, if Kyra Elsie was still at Kentucky, I don't think this happens. And one perspective, and the other perspective really is that this shows how cutthroat and how horrible college basketball is. Here's the deal. College basketball is not professional sports. Yes, teams have a finite number of scholarships. Yes. However, other teams have made it work before. Look at what LSU did with Izzy Besselman. There are a lot of open spots, open positions at Kentucky right now. A lot of open scholarship spots. And for them to not extend a spot for this upcoming year to Cassidy Rowe is not good. It shows that clearly Kenny Brooks does not care about family. You know, something that Kenny Brooks has talked about this his whole time this year at Kentucky was family, and how close he was to the players, to their families, and how they built something very, very special at Kentucky. That was clearly a lie. With, again, not necessarily my perspective, but a perspective, the secondary perspective is that you lied. You said it's all about family. You said it's all about, you said that you really enjoyed meeting Cassidy Rowe and how she was someone who, again, your words, bled blue, Kentucky blue. She was someone who really cared about this place and really loved this place and helped to welcome you on the team. You know? And you do this to her, you can't expect players to be loyal anymore when you go out of your way to show that you are not loyal. Right? So one perspective is, you know what? Kenny Brooks had to do what he had to do because she wasn't producing on the court. The other perspective is, no, this is college, not professional sports. If you offer a scholarship to a player, the player is going through all the process, right? Kentucky offered her a scholarship. Yes, of course she wanted to play for Kentucky, but the school offered her a scholarship at incoming as a freshman. She has done everything you've asked. Every single practice, she has made sure to be there. She has altered her life around this program. She's supposed to get married in, I believe, in the summer, and then she ended up changing the date to make sure it fit with their summer schedule in terms of practice. Like, she is someone who has done every single thing you have asked. And then you do this to her? You do this to someone who is from the community. You talk about wanting community support and whatnot, but then you do this, and it's like, okay, it's not good. It shows that clearly it's not a family. Clearly there is no loyalty. Clearly you don't care about the plight of these players. So those are the two perspectives. Those are, in my opinion, the two perspectives. This isn't a cherry case. You need to be loyal. To me, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So yes, we see a lot of articles and messages from people who are from Kentucky, right? And they have a personal feeling towards this. Like, they're like, this is really, really messed up, Kenny Brooks. And you have people who have heard stuff about Kenny Brooks in the past, and they're like, see, this is just another thing on the Kenny Brooks list of why I don't like him, you know? And then you see the other perspective that is really, there is some understanding of why this whole thing happened. Again, she got a kinesiology degree, and she was, get ready to go to PT school. That's exciting. That's great. We need more PT people out there, right? But this isn't professional. Sonny says, let's call college D1 sports what they really are. They're just farm teams for the pros. I mean, to a certain extent, yeah. The whole staying 4 years at a place, is dead in a lot of ways for college. And yes, players have the ability to move on, but it's also because it's also because their programs aren't loyal, and so it is what it is. It is what it is, There's so much in this realm of college sports that is not normal. It's not the way it used to be, right? Because loyalty is dead. A new coach comes in, clears house a lot of times, right? Clears house. Robbie says loyalty doesn't mean much anymore. Example: Deion Sanders lands at Colorado and tells the players probably half of them will be cut. Start looking for other programs. Not many people question Sanders. Yeah. Yes. I mean, there are, in my opinion, two big perspectives. And it's up to each individual to determine, what's important. Is it people over, I want to say people over profits, but that's not really what this is. People over, production, people over, that type of thing. That's the question. B. Harris says loyalty is year to year in college. It is. It absolutely is. Yeah. Coach Vic says she got 3 years of free school without contributing on the court. Why does she think that she deserves another year? Technically, she was the reason the last coach got fired. I mean, she was productive last season. Because again, kind of. Again, she's a point guard. Her main deal was not scoring, even though she could score. And for the 2023-2024 season, she started 16 games, played around 17 minutes a game, and averaged 2.6 points a game, 1.3 assists, 1 rebound. So yes, not crazy productive, but she tried her best, right? She was there, she was working out, she was trying, right? But again, the perspective is like, hey, well, at the same time, it is what it is. Grace by God says, good morning, Quita. Some coaches love their players and others don't. I witnessed a coach who gave a scholarship to a player who really didn't play much, but they put in the effort. Yeah. And every coach has his own perspective. Like, honestly, if I was the head coach at Kentucky, I couldn't do it personally. I think there's now, and that's if Kenny Brooks knew about all this stuff, and maybe he did, and he's like, hey, you know what? We've given you 3 years of free education. And I know that, yes, you were looking forward to having the scholarship and whatnot. And yes, I know it's important. But at the same time, I have quotas to fill. I have to create this. I need to make this stuff happen, right? MR says, bad example. Sanders took over a 1-11 team. Most of the players needed to go. Well, are you aware of overall how bad Kentucky was? Kentucky was not a very good squad in 2023, 2024, right? They weren't. And so, yeah, let me look up their roster. I mean their record. So in 2023 and 2024 through 2024, Kentucky was 12 of 20 on the season. They were 4 of 12 in the SEC. They were towards the bottom on just about every single stat. The defensive rating was in the tubes. The offensive rating was also in the tubes. Points scored per game was terrible. Points assisted per game was terrible. Basically, they were pretty bad last year, right? Anthony says, pissing off the fan base gets you fired. I mean, and supposedly the fan base is like really upset. Like, again, I've seen a lot of Twitter posts, a lot of articles, a lot of stuff online about people who are from Kentucky, people who said they were season ticket holders, and people who are just really upset about what happened with her. FM says profit over people sums it up. Michael says loyal employees get fired too. Facts. Yeah. There are people who are loyal to companies, loyal to teams, and they get let go. This is not a rare thing. This is life. This is life, right? And so ultimately, you know, if you want loyalty, in a lot of ways, you, especially on the, like, if you're playing a sport, like, you have to show production or be at a school that values what you bring, like at LSU, again, given the scholarship to Izzy Besselman. Like, you know, there are teams that would take her in a heartbeat. But one of the things is she doesn't have, she wants to go to PT school in Kentucky. Also, she was already admitted, and so admissions would be a whole thing, and she'd have to waste a year to go to another school, to transfer to another school and play basketball. So she's opted not to continue to play basketball. So that's something to note. I also want to share with you all what she put on Instagram. So she made an Instagram post about her time at around her time at Kentucky, and just made a letter to the fans, and I want to read that because I think it's an important thing to read, just so you all can again have a little bit more idea of like who she is and what she's talking about, and then we will end it for today. Okay. All right. And again, guys, let me know your perspective in the comments. Like I could see a lot of people having, two very different perspectives on the same thing, on the same issue. And I think it hits a lot closer to the people who are actually, you know, in Kentucky. All right, so here is Cassidy Rowe's Instagram page, and I want to read the message that's here. All right, so she said, wow, I wasn't expecting this to be a goodbye post. I wanted nothing more than to play my senior year in a Kentucky uniform, but I know that God has a bigger and better plans for me. Sometimes no is God's way of preventing us from greater heartbreak. What a blessing basketball has been to my life. Basketball was my first love. I spent every single day in the gym working towards a dream that many people called me crazy for having. After facing back-to-back ACL tears, I sometimes questioned it myself. But through hard work and God's faithfulness, I was able to represent my home state and become a Kentucky Wildcat. Truly a dream come true. These past years have been some of the hardest, yet most rewarding and joyous times in my life. I'm grateful for the bad times just as much as the good because it all brought me closer to God. I have met many amazing people and made memories that I will cherish for the rest of my life. While I still have a year of eligibility left, I will not be entering the transfer portal. I will be pursuing my dream of becoming a physical therapist through the University of Kentucky's DPT program. Younger me would be crushed that our basketball career is over, but she also wouldn't believe all the things we've accomplished. I know she is proud. To Big Blue Nation, thank you. Thank you for your unwavering support and for giving this small town girl the opportunity to live out her wildest dreams. I poured everything I have into this program, and you all poured into me just the same. I will forever be grateful for that, and I will always bleed blue. John 13:7. So that's the post that she posted 3 days ago, announcing that she is done with not necessarily of her choice with Kentucky. And I love the fact that I love the fact that she seems to be at peace with it. She's made the decision that she could go somewhere else, but she's decided not to. And so that leads us to the end of the stream. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this. There goes echo again. The reason why I wanted to talk about this was because of two reasons. One, there was some talk about Olivia Miles not being loyal to Notre Dame, and a lot of surprise around her deciding to leave Notre Dame yesterday. There was a lot of people who were like, what the heck? These players have too much freedom. There's way too many people in there are way too many people in the transfer portal. And these players are just willy-nilly going anywhere that they can win a championship or make more money or like whatever their prerogative is. And again, we don't exactly know specifically why players like Olivia Miles had decided to leave. We don't know. Yes, there are some rumors around her Twitter, or not her Twitter, her TikTok, and like what she has reposted and liked and whatnot. But we don't specifically know why she decided not to stay at Notre Dame. My point in this stream was to show, in my opinion, two opposites of the same coin. One instance where a player decided to leave a program that they've been at for 3 years. Again, both Olivia Miles and Cassidy Rowe are, both of them are going into their senior year, right? Olivia Miles is someone who has been very, very good for Notre Dame. Again, she was fantastic as a freshman, primarily as a passer. She was out all last year in her sophomore season due to injury. She came back this year and was on fire, right? She was someone who, yes, her passes are still flashy, her passes are still fantastic, but also she showed that she can play some defense, or not some defense. Though she does have times in which she can play some defense, but she is someone who has shown that she can be a 40+% 3-point shooter, right? She is someone who has shown up and shown out all year. Okay, so a super productive player. Again, I'm showing two sides of the same coin. A very, very productive player, someone who is sought after by a lot of teams throughout the country. She made the decision to say, you know what, I'm gonna go in the transfer portal, and I'm gonna see what I can do, because I know there's a lot of teams that want me. Now, is it possible that she comes back to Notre Dame? Sure, it's possible. Is it likely? No. But technically it's possible. And if she wanted to come back, I'm sure they would, in a heartbeat, they would be like, hey, yes, come back. We would love for you to come back. So I'm showing this example of a very, very popular, very, very talented player in their final season decide to transfer and go somewhere else at probably a bigger, better program that can win a championship or whatever specifically is Olivia Miles' goal. And then you have another incoming senior who has been very loyal to the program, but is not necessarily at the level that she needs to be to stay on the program in terms of, talent-wise, right? So we got Olivia Miles in one hand. We got Cassidy Rowe in the other. One is one of the best players in the country. The other would be a really, really good mid-major, coming off the bench for a mid-major, making some, or even like a D2, D3 starter for sure. Someone who could, depending on the program, make some noise as a point guard. But someone who was not productive on the court this past year because Kentucky had very high aspirations. And instead of the player opting to leave, the coach opted to say, you know what, we appreciate you, but we got to get your scholarship up. So that's why I included Olivia Miles in the thumbnail, because to me this is an example of two opposites: 2 point guards, 2 players who've been with their team for 3 years, 2 players who have one player who actually chose their future, and another one who is more reacting to the future that was given to them. But it's still ultimately Cassidy Rowe's perspective to not go anywhere else. Like, she could transfer. She could, but she has opted not to. But yeah, so that's why I know there may have been some confusion of like, why'd you put Olivia Miles in the thumbnail? I was trying to get to this point in the stream. I was trying to like kind of weave the story along and then sort of talk about this dichotomy, I guess, of things. Yeah. What do y'all think? Let me know. Again, I see it from multiple perspectives about Cassidy Rowe. I know that some of y'all do as well. Some of y'all are very much like, on one side or the other, and that's fine. I just wanted to share this because I like, again, I've been seeing this on social for the last couple of days, but it hasn't really been covered, not really, by like mainstream media and whatnot. And I wanted to make sure that like I covered it in a way that actually gave quite a bit of insight. And so hopefully that was helpful. Thank you so much, Felicia, for the super chat. Says, how do we know, how will she know her options if she how will she know her options if she has a lock on it, no contact rule set? How does that work? Does she have a non-contact? Did she opt for no contact, Olivia Miles? If she did, then that means that she knows where she's gonna go. And teams can contact her, but she has to initiate the contact. So like if she reaches out to like Kim Mulkey, then Kim Mulkey could talk back. But like Kim Mulkey can't like opt to talk to her if Olivia doesn't initiate. But yeah. That's if she actually has a no contact thing. So yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. Kentucky Rick, I'm happy you were able to share some thoughts here, because like I feel like this overall thing affects you a little bit because you're a Kentucky guy. Says, excellent job, Quita. You made an awesome comparison. We as fans need. It went away. Need to evolve along with the game we love. I appreciate you. All right, Shamika, thank you so much for the super chat. Salute to you. Says, what's most interesting about this? I'm curious about how this impacts fan loyalty. Are fans loyal to the players or programs? See, that's another thing. I'm sure it's a mix. I'm sure there are some fans who are like, I don't care. If you're in blue, I'm rooting for you. If you're in blue, I'm rooting for you. And there's also some people who are like, you know what? No, I'm a fan of this very particular person or this particular group of people. And if you do these people wrong or the people leave, then I'm done. That's a fact too. And so like the percentage of like that, we don't know. We do not know. Art of Free Speech says, if the players can't be loyal to a team, why should the team be loyal to the player? I mean, it goes both ways. I believe it goes both ways. I think the loyalty in some instances, the reason why the transfer portal is the way it is now, because players complain because, there were times where they got recruited to be on a team, and they owned a team and they never played. They rode the bench. Like certain stuff happened and they didn't have a real way to leave without losing a year and sitting out for a year, right? And now it's open up. So now, players have the ability to do whatever they wanted to do. Coaches and programs have always had the ability to do whatever they wanted to do. And so, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Loyalty is dead. And that's unfortunate, as someone who thinks of myself as a very loyal person. I think it sucks, but at the same time, loyalty can lead to some not so great stuff for you personally. And it is what it is. It is what it is. There's a lot of things that are in effect with colleges and teams and all that stuff now, where players can get NIL money. Players can make a whole bunch of money if they want, or they have the ability to make a lot of money, right? They have the ability to leave, to go to wherever they want. And coaches have the ability to decide whatever they want to do. If they want players to ride at the bench, they can do that. If they want to say, you know what, we appreciate you, your scholarship is done, they can do that as well. There's a lot of freedom. There's a lot of freedom that players and teams have, both in college and in the professional ranks. And so, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things continue. But yeah, if you didn't know, loyalty is pretty dead. Sucks though. Sucks. It really does. Like the fact that we are even here as a society, it does really suck. But dog, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is important to acknowledge reality, peep game, and move on. Like that's my motto in a lot of ways. Peep game and move on. You see what people are doing. You see what's going on, and it's up to you to rock out with it. Robbie says loyalty isn't totally dead, but it is diminishing quickly. Yes. I don't mean loyalty is literally dead, because again, I'm a very loyal person, and it's still a thing. Like I know there's a lot of people who are still also very loyal, but there's times that it stabs you in the back on both ways, right? And so yeah, that's the thing. Okay. Anyway, I appreciate y'all so much for rocking with me. Thank you. This was supposed to be a 30-minute stream, and look how long it lasted. It's crazy. I can't stop talking. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great day. I got to go to work, so that should be fun. Anyway, y'all have a good day. Be kind to people. Be respectful. And tell somebody that they matter, because they truly, truly do. So if no one has told you, you matter. You're important. And I'm happy you are on this earth, guys. Happy Wednesday. Hump day. And we are almost through the rest of the week. So y'all have a good one. I love y'all. And I will see y'all in the next one. Till next time, guys. Bye. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.